Have you ever felt like life has pinned you to the ground? Like no matter how hard you fight, you just can't seem to get back up? Maybe you've lost a job. Maybe your relationship ended. Maybe the bills keep piling higher and higher, and every time you think you're making progress, something knocks you back down again. Rock bottom, it feels hopeless. It feels like the end of the road. But what if I told you that rock bottom isn't the end? What if I told you it could be the beginning? The foundation for the greatest comeback story of your life. Listen closely. Some of the most successful, powerful, and influential people you admire today have been there. Flat broke, rejected, abandoned, broken, and doubted by everyone. But they refused to stay down. They discovered something at rock bottom that became the fuel for their rise. And you, yes you, can do the same. I want you to picture this. Imagine being so broke that you're living out of your car, eating fast food leftovers, wondering how you'll survive the week. Imagine having doors slammed in your face, rejection after rejection, people laughing at your dreams, telling you that you'll never make it. That was Sylvester Stallone before Rocky. He had nothing, no money, no stability. But he had a script. He had a vision. And even when Hollywood told him no hundreds of times, he held on. When he was offered money for the script, but told he couldn't play the lead role, he refused. He chose hunger, homelessness, and struggle instead of selling out. And then, he got his break. Rocky wasn't just a movie. It was a mirror of his real-life fight. That movie went on to win Academy Awards and turn him into an icon. His rock bottom became the launchpad for his unstoppable rise. Now maybe you're not writing a movie script, but your pain, your setbacks, your rejections, they can serve the same purpose. They are not proof that you're weak. They are evidence that you're still in the fight. And that fight can lead to your comeback. Here's something you need to understand. Nobody talks about the middle of the story. They don't show you the sleepless nights, the breakdowns, the failures. All you see is the highlight reel. But success is not a straight climb. It's not an elevator. It's a staircase, and every step is hard. Every step is earned. And sometimes those steps feel like they're taking you backward, not forward. But what if that setback was preparing you? What if that failure was sharpening your character, toughening your spirit, forcing you to find out what you're really made of? I'll be honest with you. Most people quit at rock bottom. Most people give in when it hurts, when it feels like the pain will never stop. But the few who don't, the ones who choose to keep moving forward no matter how small the step, that's where the magic happens. That's where the comeback is born. Think about J.K. Rowling. Before Harry Potter became a global phenomenon, she was a single mother living on welfare, struggling to make ends meet, rejected by publisher after publisher. 12 of them told her no, but the 13th said yes. And from that yes came a billion-dollar franchise that has touched millions of lives. She could have given up at any of those 12 rejections, but she didn't. She turned rock bottom into her platform for success. So here's my question for you. What's your story? What's your rock bottom moment? Maybe you're in it right now. Maybe you're at the lowest point of your life. Or maybe you've been there before, and you're still carrying the scars. But listen to me. Scars don't mean you're broken. Scars mean you healed. Scars mean you survived. And if you're listening to this right now, you still have breath in your lungs. You still have fight in your heart. And that means your story isn't over. Rock bottom feels like an ending, but it's really a beginning. Because when you have nothing left, you also have nothing to lose. And when you have nothing to lose, you're finally free to take risks, to chase dreams, to fight with everything you've got. That's why some of the greatest comebacks in history started from absolute despair. The darkness gave birth to light. The pain gave birth to power. Think about it. The comeback story is universal. Americans love it because it represents everything this country is built on: resilience, grit, the underdog rising against all odds. From athletes who returned after devastating injuries, to entrepreneurs who went bankrupt before building billion-dollar companies, to ordinary people who refused to give up on themselves. The comeback is proof that rock bottom is not the end. So don't you dare believe that your struggle makes you less. Don't you dare believe that because you're at the bottom, you'll stay there. You won't. You can't. Because the very fact that you've hit rock bottom means you've got a solid foundation to build on. And from that foundation, you can rise. Let me make this clear. This isn't about ignoring the pain. This isn't about pretending it doesn't hurt. Of course it hurts. Of course it's hard. But pain can be a teacher. Pain can be the greatest motivator of your life if you let it. Instead of running from it, face it. Instead of burying it, use it. Turn it into fuel. Let it remind you of what you never want to feel again, and let that fire push you into action. This is your moment. This is your fight. And no matter how deep the pit feels, no matter how dark the night seems, there is always a way out. Your comeback is waiting, but it won't come if you quit. It will only come if you decide, right now, that rock bottom is not your ending. It's your beginning. When you're lying face down at rock bottom, the hardest thing to believe is that you can rise again. It feels impossible. It feels like the world has written you off. But the truth is, the power for your comeback isn't out there. It's already inside you. You don't need to wait for luck, or for someone to rescue you, or for the perfect moment to arrive. You need to make a decision. And that decision is simple. You will not stay down. That decision is the first step. It's the spark. Think of it like this. When a boxer is knocked down, the fight isn't over until the referee counts to 10. And every second in between is a choice. Do I stay down, or do I get up? Your life is the same. Rock bottom is not a knockout, it's a knockdown. And you get to choose whether to stay there or rise again. But let's be real. Rising doesn't happen overnight. It's not about flipping a switch and suddenly being full of energy, success, and confidence. It's about building. One action at a time. One decision at a time. One day at a time. That's how you climb. That's how you turn pain into power. I'll give you an example. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is one of the most successful actors and entrepreneurs in the world today. But rewind back to when he was 23 years old. He had dreamed of becoming an NFL player. He worked his entire youth for that goal. But when he was cut from the Canadian Football League, he was broke, depressed, and living in his parents' small apartment with only $7 in his pocket. That was his rock bottom. But instead of staying down, he shifted. He told himself, "This is not how my story ends." He used that pain as fuel to reinvent himself, eventually finding pro wrestling, then Hollywood, and now building a global brand that inspires millions. His story shows you that failure isn't the end, it's a redirection. And maybe you're in the same place right now. You had a dream. You gave it everything, and it collapsed. You feel empty. But what if that collapse isn't punishment? What if it's preparation? What if losing that job is pushing you to finally build your own business? What if that breakup is creating space for the relationship that will actually honor you? What if your setback is setting you up for something greater than you imagined? Rock bottom strips you of the unnecessary. It removes the distractions, the fake friends, the illusions. It shows you what's real. And sometimes, you need to lose everything to see what really matters. That clarity is powerful. It can be the exact fuel you need for your comeback. But here's the catch. You can't just wait for things to get better. Waiting is what keeps most people stuck. You have to act, even when it feels small, even when it feels pointless. Start with tiny wins. Make your bed. Go for a 10-minute walk. Apply for one job. Read 10 pages of a book. These small actions may seem insignificant, but they're not. They're signals to your brain that you're moving forward. They build momentum. And momentum, once it starts, is hard to stop. Let me tell you something about momentum. It's like pushing a car. At first, it feels impossible. You lean into it with all your strength, and it barely moves an inch. But if you keep pushing, slowly, it begins to roll. And once it rolls, it becomes easier. That's your life right now. The first steps feel heavy, exhausting, discouraging. But once you commit, once you take action every day, you'll find the resistance starts to fade. You'll begin to see progress. And that progress will ignite your comeback. Now, let's address the biggest enemy you'll face at rock bottom, your own mind. The negative voice inside your head will tell you it's over, that you're not enough, that nobody cares. And if you listen to it, it will keep you trapped. But here's the truth, that voice is lying. That voice is fear disguised as logic. And the only way to silence it is with action. You can't think your way out of rock bottom. You have to move your way out. Remember Oprah Winfrey? Today she's one of the most powerful women in the world. But growing up, she faced abuse, poverty, and rejection. At one point, she was told she wasn't fit for television. Imagine if she had listened to that voice. Imagine if she had accepted that judgment as truth. The world would have lost one of the greatest communicators of our time. Oprah didn't ignore her pain. She used it. She transformed it into empathy, strength, and resilience that built her empire. That's what you must do. Stop running from your pain. Face it. Learn from it. Channel it. Your struggle can become your strength if you choose to use it. So here's what I want you to understand. Your comeback doesn't start with everything magically falling into place. It doesn't start when the world believes in you. It doesn't even start when you feel ready. It starts the moment you decide that rock bottom is not your ending. It starts when you take one step, no matter how small, toward the life you deserve. And don't underestimate the power of that choice. Because the moment you choose to rise, you've already shifted your story. You've already gone from victim to fighter, from hopeless to hopeful, from rock bottom to unstoppable. Now that you've decided to rise, the next question is, how do you build momentum when you've been knocked down? How do you go from barely surviving to actually thriving? The answer is discipline, habits, and consistency. That might not sound flashy, but it's the truth. Your comeback won't be built on one massive action. It'll be built on small daily choices that stack up until they transform your entire life. Think about it. Nobody goes from broke to a millionaire in one day. Nobody goes from overweight to fit in one workout. Nobody goes from brokenhearted to healed in one moment. It's the daily grind, the daily investment, the daily commitment. That's the foundation of an unstoppable comeback. Let's break this down. At rock bottom, it's tempting to chase the quick fix. Maybe you want the magic business idea, the viral moment, the miracle cure. But the truth is, quick fixes don't last. What lasts are systems. What lasts are habits. And if you can commit to building habits, your comeback won't just be temporary, it'll be permanent. Take someone like Kobe Bryant. He was known as one of the most relentless workers in sports history. Teammates would arrive at the gym at 7 a.m. to find out Kobe had already been there since 4 a.m. shooting jumpers. He didn't rely on talent alone, he relied on discipline. His daily habits made him unstoppable, and that same principle applies to your life. You don't have to be an NBA player. You just need the discipline to show up every single day. Start with your mornings. The way you begin your day sets the tone for everything else. If you wake up late, grab your phone, and scroll aimlessly, you've already lost momentum before the day even starts. But if you wake up with intention, make your bed, drink water, move your body, read something inspiring, you've already claimed victory. Those small wins compound into bigger wins. Next, focus on consistency. Motivation is great, but motivation fades. Discipline is what keeps you moving when you don't feel like it. There will be days you want to quit. Days when you hear that voice saying, "What's the point?" And that's when discipline saves you. Discipline is choosing what you want most over what you want right now. And let's be clear, discipline isn't about perfection. It's not about never slipping up. It's about commitment. If you miss a day, you don't quit. You reset. You keep going. That resilience builds confidence. And confidence builds momentum. Now let's talk about goals. Too many people stay stuck at rock bottom because they set massive, vague goals like, "I want to be successful," or "I want to be happy." That sounds good, but it's too big, too undefined. You need clarity. What does success mean to you? What does happiness look like for you? Break it down. If your comeback is financial, set a goal to save $50 this week. If your comeback is health, set a goal to walk 20 minutes a day. If your comeback is emotional, set a goal to journal 5 minutes each morning. Clear, measurable goals build momentum. Here's a truth most people ignore. Confidence doesn't come first. Action comes first, and confidence follows. Too many people wait until they feel ready before taking action. But you'll never feel 100% ready. You become ready by doing. The act of showing up every day, of sticking to your commitments, of taking small steps. That's what creates confidence. Let me give you a real-life example. Howard Schultz, the man behind Starbucks, grew up poor in Brooklyn, living in public housing. At one point, his family had nothing, and he felt trapped. But he built his comeback by showing up, working odd jobs, studying hard, and eventually spotting an opportunity in a small coffee company. He didn't build Starbucks overnight. He built it brick by brick, decision by decision, habit by habit. Today, Starbucks is a global brand, but it all started with discipline and vision. The same applies to you. Don't underestimate the power of small, consistent actions, because they don't just change your circumstances, they change you. They rewire your brain. They build self-respect. They remind you every day that you are capable of rising. And once you believe that, there's no limit to how far you can go. But let's be real for a second. Discipline is hard. Habits are hard. You're going to face resistance, both from the outside world and from inside your own head. Friends might not understand. Family might doubt you. Your own mind will try to pull you back into comfort. That's normal. Resistance is part of the process. But here's the secret. Resistance is a sign you're growing. If it's hard, it means you're moving forward. When you're tempted to give up, remind yourself why you started. Picture your future self, the stronger, healthier, more successful version of you. That version is waiting, but it can only exist if you fight through today. And don't forget, discipline doesn't have to be lonely. Find accountability. Surround yourself with people who push you higher, not drag you down. If your circle doesn't support your comeback, build a new circle. Community matters. That's why people join fitness groups, masterminds, or even online communities. You need voices around you that remind you of who you're becoming, not who you used to be. Here's the bottom line. Your comeback isn't about luck. It's about habits. It's about showing up day after day, even when it's hard, even when nobody is watching. Because those daily choices add up. And one day, you'll look back and realize you're no longer at rock bottom. You're standing on top of the mountain you once thought was impossible to climb. Let's get real for a moment. The comeback journey isn't a straight line. You don't just decide to rise and then magically watch everything fall into place. Life doesn't work like that. Even after you've made progress, even after you've built momentum, setbacks will come. Unexpected bills, rejection letters, criticism, health struggles, moments where it feels like all your hard work is slipping away. And that's when most people fall back down, not because they're weak, but because they believe the lie that success should be smooth. But here's the truth. Setbacks are part of the comeback. They're not proof you're failing. They're proof you're still in the fight. If you expect the road to be bumpy, you won't be shocked when the bumps arrive. You'll be ready. Think about Thomas Edison. He's celebrated as the man who gave us the light bulb. But what most people forget is that he failed over 1,000 times before getting it right. 1,000 times. Imagine how many people laughed at him. Imagine how many nights he questioned himself. But when asked about those failures, Edison didn't say, "I failed." He said, "I found 1,000 ways that didn't work." That's the mindset of resilience. That's how you transform setbacks into stepping stones. Now let's be clear, setbacks hurt. Losing a job after months of effort stings. Getting rejected when you put your heart on the line cuts deep. Falling back into old habits after weeks of discipline can feel discouraging. But here's the key. Pain is temporary. Defeat only becomes permanent if you quit. If you get back up again and again, your resilience becomes unstoppable. One of the most powerful comeback stories in modern American sports is that of Michael Jordan. Today, he's remembered as the greatest basketball player of all time. But did you know he was actually cut from his high school basketball team? Most kids would have quit right there, but Jordan used that rejection as fuel. He practiced harder, pushed further, and turned that pain into passion. That setback didn't end his story, it defined it. And that's exactly what you must do. When life says no, when the door closes, when you stumble, you have two choices. You can let it break you, or you can let it build you. The comeback requires that you choose the second option every single time. Now let's talk about failure. In American culture, people often fear failure so much they don't even try. But here's the thing. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of success. Every successful entrepreneur, athlete, artist, or leader you admire failed many times. Steve Jobs was fired from his own company before coming back to build Apple into one of the most valuable companies in the world. Walt Disney was told he lacked imagination before creating an empire that shaped generations. Failures didn't stop them. They shaped them. Your setbacks are training you. They're giving you lessons you could never learn in comfort. They're building grit, toughness, perspective. Without setbacks, you wouldn't have the strength to handle the success that's coming. So instead of fearing failure, embrace it. Ask yourself, what is this teaching me? How can I use this to grow? That shift in mindset is what separates those who quit from those who rise. But let's not sugarcoat it. Sometimes setbacks feel like they push you right back to rock bottom. Maybe you've been working hard, only to relapse into old habits. Maybe you've been saving money, only to have an emergency wipe it out. Maybe you've been building confidence, only to be knocked down by cruel words. In those moments, it's easy to think, what's the point? Here's the point. Every comeback is built on persistence. Every hero you admire, every underdog story you love, is defined not by how many times they succeeded, but by how many times they refused to stay down. Resilience is your greatest weapon. The ability to keep going when others quit. That's what makes you unstoppable. Let me share a story that's close to the American heart. Abraham Lincoln, one of the greatest presidents in U.S. history, faced setback after setback. He failed in business, lost elections, suffered personal tragedies, and battled depression. By most standards, he was a failure for much of his life. But he never gave up. He kept going. And eventually, he rose to lead a divided nation through one of its darkest times. His setbacks didn't disqualify him. They prepared him. And that's exactly how you must see your own struggles. That rejection letter? It's not the end. It's redirection. That financial loss? It's not failure. It's a lesson in resilience. That heartbreak? It's not proof you're unlovable. It's proof that you deserve better. Every setback can serve your comeback if you decide to use it. Here's something to remember. When you face resistance, it's a sign you're moving in the right direction. Nobody stumbles when they're standing still. Resistance shows up when you're moving forward. So if you're struggling, if you're battling, if it feels heavy, congratulations. It means you're on the path. So how do you keep going when setbacks hit? Here are 3 things. Reframe the story. Instead of saying, I failed, say, I learned. Instead of saying, I lost, say, I grew. Language matters. Your words shape your mindset, and your mindset shapes your comeback. Return to your why. When the road gets hard, remind yourself why you started. Visualize your future self, stronger, freer, happier. That vision will pull you through the pain. Refuse to quit. Quitting guarantees defeat. Perseverance guarantees growth. Even if progress feels invisible, trust that the work you're putting in is building something within you that cannot be taken away. Your comeback isn't about avoiding setbacks. It's about mastering them. It's about becoming so resilient, so persistent, so determined that no failure can hold you down. Because here's the truth. The world doesn't belong to the most talented, or the most gifted, or even the smartest. It belongs to those who keep showing up. Those who keep moving forward when everyone else stops. Those who turn every setback into fuel. And that's who you're becoming right now. You're not just rising from rock bottom. You're building resilience so strong that nothing will ever knock you down the same way again. You've come a long way in this journey. You've stared down rock bottom, felt the weight of hopelessness, and dared to dream that a comeback is possible. You've learned to take responsibility for your life, to rewrite your story, and to build resilience when the world tried to knock you down. Now comes the most important part of all, the decision to act. Because let's be real, inspiration without action is just entertainment. You don't need another motivational video that makes you feel good for 10 minutes and then fades away. You need a shift, a decision, a line in the sand that says, enough. This is my moment. This is my comeback. Think about it. How many times have you promised yourself change? I'll start tomorrow. I'll get serious next week. I'll wait until the timing is right. But here's the truth. The right time will never come. Tomorrow isn't guaranteed. The only time you can start your comeback is now. Right here. In this moment. The comeback story doesn't wait for perfect conditions. It begins when you take imperfect action. One step, one choice, one refusal to quit. That's how you go from broken to unbreakable. From hopeless to unstoppable. And here's the beautiful thing. You don't have to transform overnight. Nobody's asking you to climb the entire mountain today. You just have to take the first step, and then the next, and then keep moving. Small, consistent action builds unstoppable momentum. Remember what we talked about earlier? Michael Jordan didn't become a legend because of one game. Edison didn't change the world in one night. Your favorite comeback stories aren't defined by one single moment. They're defined by relentless effort, day after day. And that's exactly what's available to you. So let me ask you this. What's one thing you can do today to move closer to your comeback? Not next week. Not next month. Today. Maybe it's writing down your goals. Maybe it's sending that application. Maybe it's apologizing and repairing a relationship. Maybe it's hitting the gym, even if it's just for 15 minutes. Whatever it is, do it today. Don't just think about it. Take action. Because the truth is, your life won't change by accident. It won't transform because you wish for it. It changes when you decide, when you commit, when you act. And the moment you act, everything shifts. You move from victim to fighter, from dreamer to doer, from waiting to winning. Now, let's get even more real. You're going to have days where you don't feel like it. Days where motivation is nowhere to be found. Days where the voice in your head tells you, why bother? But let me tell you this, discipline will carry you where motivation can't. If you only act when you feel like it, you'll never get far. But if you build the habit of showing up, no matter what, you become unstoppable. And here's something powerful, you don't have to do this alone. Every great comeback story has allies, mentors, or supporters along the way. Share your goals. Find accountability. Surround yourself with people who lift you up, not drag you down. Remember the saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. But never forget, your comeback is your responsibility. No one is coming to save you. No one is going to hand you the life you dream of. You have to fight for it. You have to claim it. You have to believe, deep down, that you are worthy of more, and then prove it through action. Look around you. We live in a country built on comebacks. The United States itself has been through wars, depressions, recessions, disasters, and every time, it came back stronger. Why? Because resilience is written into the DNA of this nation, and it can be written into yours, too. You are part of that same spirit. You carry that same fire. So here's my challenge to you. Write your comeback story starting today. No more waiting. No more excuses. No more living small. If you've hit rock bottom, that's good news, because the only direction left is up. And if you're already on the rise, it's time to go further than you ever thought possible. Picture your future self 1 year from now. Stronger, healthier, more confident, living the life you once thought was out of reach. That version of you is possible, but only if you act today. Only if you commit. Only if you refuse to let this moment slip by. So let's make it simple. Here's what you do: decide. Right now, make the decision that you're not going back, that your past doesn't define you. That rock bottom was just the foundation for something greater. Act. Take one step today. Send the email. Write the plan. Lace up your shoes. Do something small but powerful that tells the universe, I'm serious. Repeat. Tomorrow, do it again. The day after, keep going. Build the habit of showing up. Over time, those small steps create massive change. This is how ordinary people build extraordinary lives. Not through magic, not through luck, but through relentless persistence, resilience, and action. And one day, not too far from now, you'll look back at this moment, the moment you decided to rise, the moment you chose action, and you'll realize this was the turning point. This was the day your comeback story began. So here's my final question. Will you keep waiting for the perfect moment, or will you claim your comeback now? The choice is yours. Stand up. Take action. Write your story. From rock bottom to unstoppable, it starts today.